Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Jack Ryan Season 1, Episode 2. It is called French Connection. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. And we do go to France eventually. That's a little bit later in the episode.
It
We
is, yeah.
we have some more office politics to deal with first, and Jack getting checked out because he's hurt his back a little bit. You know, it's funny. I was going to complain at one point about him having like a weird flashback to the fight from last episode. It felt unnecessary to me. And then it kind of zoomed out, and it was because we were watching it with everyone in
Yeah.
the room. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fair enough. All right, okay.
It's funny, I had the exact same feeling. I was like,
Yeah,
why are we seeing this?
yeah. But that's because he's literally watching it. He's sitting there having to sit through it. I was expecting someone to like criticize how he handled it, like for some reason.
Yeah, because it kind of cuts away as he's, pulling out the grenade.
Yeah,
And you kind of go, are they critiquing him? Is this like, okay, no,
yeah.
you did this wrong. You should have let that grenade blow up on him.
No, this is just This is all the departments just basically like, okay, right, yeah, this guy's real. He's a threat. And Jack, as he's done, kind of speaks up. He's like, no, he's not ISIS. He's something else, and he kind of stands up and I like how Greer, when Jack sort of mutters that he's not ISIS, and everyone sort of turns to look at him, he just says he doesn't tell him to shut up or sit down, or he says no, stand up, speak properly, and make yourself heard.
Yeah.
Already, it feels like there's been like a development here, and obviously, but later in the episode, they're arguing again because they don't want to open up to each other, and they're both being dicks about their past and refusing to. But then, of course, immediately they end up figuring out the solution to the problem, and then it's like, oh, they're friends again. It's like this back and forth of respect and animosity between them, totally back and forth. But he makes him go and get checked out, and it happens to just be at the same hospital where Kathy works. So he drops in and pretends he's not in complete pain the entire time.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a running gag where both the doctor he sees, then Kathy, tell him to do some yoga for his back.
Yeah, it was like when the doctor tells him, he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then when Kathy says it, he starts to be like that, and then he says, I'll go on then.
And then, of course, he
Kind of
actually does
just like,
some,
if you're the one asking.
and he does some yoga later on in the office, and Greer walks in on him, just being like, what are you even doing? What's
Fair
happening?
question. Doesn't even have a yoga mat.
He does not, no. It was very impromptu, clearly. That was just a
Yeah.
spur of the moment decision. But of course, he sees Suleiman's phone, and he's got 10 attempts to put in an 8-digit passcode. It's not until they sort of say, oh, he's done time, because the way he's taking those cuffs off, it's like he knows what he's doing. There's a procedure here. And they sort of trace him to a French prison system, and that gets a prison number, which just luckily turns out to be the passcode.
Convenient, but sure, why not?
I mean, they open the episode with saying, well, it's even guys like this don't use a random passcode. They use something that means something to them. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I believe that, but okay, if we're rolling with that, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is basically my thing.
I mean, I'm intrigued as to why he would use his prison number, because I mean that's a very traceable detail, right? Once you know his identity, once
Yeah.
you know who he is, that's pretty easy to get. And I don't know, it feels weird to use something that he's probably ashamed of. That's a bad thing. Oh, I was in prison. I was caught at some point. To be kind of almost proud of that, to use it as the password.
Oh, yeah, it's just easy to remember because it was his number. Or, I mean, maybe there's just an arrogance here. He's just assuming that his phone will never be an issue. Like, that'll never be something that someone's trying to break into.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess. I don't know. Because I don't think he was expecting to be taken when he was, for sure. They weren't expecting to be taken off the street like that.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
That's why there was the whole rescue mission.
Yeah. I mean, I'm mostly just playing devil's advocate here because it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to me either, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's the sort of thing where it's the character interaction that I like more than the actual
Yeah. I'll let it slide. I was questioning it.
how they solve the thing, and then again the action in the last sort of 10 minutes of the episode, this raid on the apartment in France in Paris, where they're converting the money because they can put 10 grand on a SIM card and then convert that back later, so it's kind of harder to trace. Oh, of course, Jack Ryan's very good at it. He's good at his job, so he's doing it anyway. But that's what they're doing. Because I was very confused at first when he met that guy and he got all these SIM cards. I'm like, is that a SIM card? Why does he have?
It looks like a SIM card.
Because it looks like bags of cocaine at first. You know, the way it's like packed up. Like it just Better Call Saul like a week ago had like these same bags for the drugs, but it's like just stacks.
It does look like a drug smuggling.
Yeah. Because that was the thing when he pulls it out and it's like broad daylight. It's like a daytime cafe outside table, and he just pulls out this packet and a knife and starts opening. I'm like, are you like checking the cocaine in like broad daylight in front of all the public? And
France don't give a shit.
And I guess, well, it's just SIM cards. It's not actually illegal or anything like that. But at the same time, it just looks really suspicious.
It does, doesn't it?
It looks super suspicious. But they get sprayed. But they've got a kid out doing a bit of watchdogging, or what do you call it?
Surveillance.
There's a name specifically for this, for the lookout. The lookout, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. The lookout. They've got a kid doing lookout because he's innocent looking. And so they get prepared and they've got the suicide vest. I actually kind of liked the moment where he pulled out the suicide vest and like everyone else in the room just like, oh, I don't want it to be me. Don't pick me.
Yeah.
And then the women finally just, right, give me it. Like, yeah. I think I like that moment because it's almost like a really human sort of side to that, where it's like none of them really want to do that, but it's expected of them.
They do it if they have to.
Yeah.
It's not. They want to see the results for themselves, right?
So I appreciate that. The action as well was quite good. They had the French SWAT team, the guy with the riot shield, and the shooting back and forth. I mean, there was casualties going all over the place on both sides. Yeah,
the breach stuff was great. Something I really appreciate as well is a lot of the action, especially the stuff out on the street after, which we'll get to in a minute. But I noticed that was a large bulk of the action that they were highlighting in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I'm seeing a large bulk of that in episode 2. I'm quite impressed that was that early, because that means, okay, there's still a fair bit of action then that they've got in the tank that we've probably seen nothing of.
Yeah, I think most of the trailer was episode 1 and 2, because I remember the helicopter from episode 1, I think, in the trailer, and then I remember him turning around looking at the explosion at the end here.
Yeah, just him out on the street with the gun.
Yeah.
That was all in the trailer.
So I mean that's a good thing. The action was pretty good. Obviously he notices that Ali's ran. He notices the blood in the barrister and he kind of runs down and. Sorry, the banister, not the barrister. Barrister's a very different thing.
That's a lawyer.
Yes, barrister, and he runs down and he chases after him and he can't quite get a shot because. I mean, I think the moment reads like it might be like a PTSD thing, but at the same time, I also feel like it's just not a clean shot. There's like people, civilians and police running around everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's obviously we know he has a history in Afghanistan and something happened, right?
Yeah, because Matisse, I think you say his name, the guy who picks a different name every mission. He's like, hey, you should take a gun, and he's like, here's the grip, here's the release and all that, and he's like talking him through it. And then Jack just grabs the gun and just quickly cocks it and he's like, yeah, like that. He's like, okay.
Yeah. That's it. We know he was a Marine and he was in Afghanistan. Okay, and we know he doesn't want to talk about his time there from the scene that we had with Greer. So I'm like, okay, what happened? What went wrong? Who did he accidentally shoot?
Yeah, I think that's the first thing you think of. It could be something else, but that's definitely the first thing your mind goes to, is that he accidentally shot someone he didn't want to. Or maybe it wasn't so much that he did it by accident, but there had to be collateral in whatever he did that he's not
quite
living
possibly,
with.
yeah. But whatever it is, it's something that is still affecting him, and I think that definitely plays into this moment at the end. It's not just that it's not a clean shot.
Yeah.
It's that there's more going on.
Yeah, so, no, I mean, the action was really well shot. The episode was better paced, I thought, than the first one, all things considered. On the other side of things, it turns out, yes, Haneen's husband is Suleiman, and we have him coming home. We see how he is with the kids. The biggest thing here is that one of the guys, like the mum notices that one of the mercenaries is eyeing up the daughter, and is very concerned immediately. And we get that creepy scene where he's got the lollipop with her.
Yes.
And she's very distraught, and she tries to talk to Suleiman about this, and She never actually says specifically what the exact concern is. She says she's worried about the men, but she doesn't actually say that something's already kind of happened with the daughter. Because I think his reaction might have played a little bit differently had she been specific.
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like he would be protective. I mean, I'm assuming he would be anyway.
But I think all this stuff is doing a great job of humanizing him, right? Like, when he comes back and he gives the kids the presents, like, and when I was much younger, my father was, he traveled for business as well, and it would be, every time he come back, here's a present from wherever he went, and that's exactly what this was here. It was very, like, okay, this is exactly what I expect to happen from, just a normal family.
Yeah, what do you even get a ginger child when you come back from a trip? Piece of rotten fruit? Something
Disappointment.
Like disappointment. So yeah, I mean that played out, and he kind of just not super aggressively, but he essentially pays him the husband trust me card, and
yeah.
That's essentially it. And you can see she feels somewhat in a bind, sort of trapped in her current position here.
Well, I kind of have to, but I don't really want to right now.
Yeah. So their house is surrounded with all these mercenaries, and it feels like, okay, why does it feel like we're suddenly in the middle of like a potential like military base? I mean, hell, the kid even sees that room full of guns and sorts, the armory.
Yeah. Suleiman, we were discussing a little bit where this was last episode.
There was a caption that I mean, hell,
yeah.
There may have been a caption last episode that I just missed, but I mean, it said Syria this episode.
Yes, exactly. So it was nice to have that definitive place. Again, that may have been there last episode and we just missed it.
It may have been, yeah.
I feel like a lot of the time I gloss over captions like that because usually they're meaningless and I get it through context anyway.
Yeah, there was some noise outside my house when I was watching this. So I put on the subtitles, and what was funny is that Amazon subtitles don't account for the subtitles that are already in the show for the foreign language stuff. So sometimes it would overlap and it would say like speaking Arabic and the subtitles on top of the actual subtitles for the Arabic dialogue.
That's particularly weird for it to happen in their own show.
It is kind of weird. Now, admittedly, the subtitles in the show were bright yellow, so they were kind of overpowering enough that it didn't matter. I could still read them clearly, but it was like, that's weird. Why are they doing that? Stop it. That's
weird.
That's just shoddy. It's just shoddy. But yeah. So,
fun thing that I really noticed this episode.
Oh, go on.
Is the main theme. I noticed. I don't know. I never really paid attention to it enough the first time, really. But this time, I noticed it, and immediately was like, I know who composed this music. Just as soon as I heard, I don't know if you know.
I'll be honest. I have barely noticed the music in this so far.
Do you know what? This is funny. I noticed it quite a lot in the first episode, and not always for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed a lot of really good piece of music, but I didn't always feel like it fit. This episode I thought was a lot better, a lot smoother, or just integrated a lot better.
I wonder if there was some changes between the pilot and shooting the rest of the show.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but it's funny because you'll hear it next time you watch an episode because it's Ramin Djawadi who does Westworld and Game of Thrones.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And you will hear it in that opening theme now that you know it.
All right.
It's real, like as soon as it clicks, it's like
okay,
yeah, it's that guy.
Some of the things we glossed over, their department doesn't actually get the job at first, and it seems to be purely because Singer has the grudge out for Greer, but he does call Jack up to his office later on to kind of offer him like another role, like a higher up job on this task force to take care of this that could be a career
he wants
maker.
To just take something away from Greer is what it feels like. It feels personal. It's like, hey, I'm gonna take away his protege.
And what's funny, because right after this we get the fight with between Jack and Greer, and then when they go up higher up the food chain, and it was like they were circumventing Singer, and Singer's not very happy about it.
Yeah,
Jack
shows up halfway through this meeting and it's like, oh,
yeah, there's a lot of eyes.
Like,
there's a lot of
behind my back.
Yeah, there's a lot of eye contact with Jack. He's really pissed about this clearly, but the higher up guy is like, hey, Jack, you found this guy. What do you think you should do? And he's got an option there to either agree with Singer and say no, yes, send other people. We found this, but pass it on, or side with Greer and say no, we should go. And he sides with Greer, and it's this idea that even though he's been fighting with them, there is this sense of loyalty. He's not going to be dirty like that. Like,
No, it's interesting that it's there.
Because Singer's kind of like trying to make him be dirty against Greer for his own good. Even though it's like Singer's higher up in the CIA, like he wouldn't necessarily be doing anything wrong by siding with him, but there is like a loyalty that's kind of forming.
Yeah, and also, you know, Jack's known Greer for what, a week?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I don't know the exact timeline. Not a few days, you know, really.
Yeah, they've done a lot of traveling, but so you know, if you include the traveling time, it can't be any less than like 4 days.
Yeah, but no, I'd say no more than a week, two tops. You know, at a push. But I feel like, you know, he doesn't really owe him any loyalty either.
No,
not yet. Not really. He hasn't earned it.
I think he recognizes something in him, though. I think, despite the clashes they've had, I think he recognizes something in there that he respects, and I think Greer feels that way about him. They just haven't sort of met in the middle and acknowledged it yet, and really come to terms and understood why they feel the way they do. I'm speaking about it as if there's some sort of weird romance that's not quite blossomed yet, but that's kind of what I'm talking. That's kind of what I mean.
It is. Also, I decided I like Greer a lot more in this episode when he's in that, you know, argument with Jack, and he says, you know, we work together. We're not friends. I like that attitude. I wish more people could have that. It's you know, look, just because I work with you doesn't mean I have to be your friend. I don't have to be friends with everyone. I mean, you know, just I can be just civil with you, and that's enough. I don't have to, you know, stand around and joke with everyone.
There's someone you really don't like at work right now. I'm getting this vibe.
That's the thing. It's not even the people that I really don't like. It's that I'm expected to be all, you know, incredibly friendly with everyone, and I just can't be bothered with that. Someone complained to a manager about me because I didn't say hello one morning. like I'm gonna go around the shop and say hello to every person before I go down to the warehouse. I don't have time for that. If someone says hello to me as I come in, yeah, I'll say hello back, but I'm not going around every person. This genuinely happened this week. I'm like,
this is so funny. Cora didn't say hello to me. Punish him.
Oh yeah, I was doing something for the manager, you know, and she was talking to me, and she was like, "By the way, can you say hello to this person when you come in every morning?" I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." She said you didn't say hello to her the other day, and she's complained to me, and I can't be bothered dealing with this, so just say hello to her. So of course now I'm going out of my way not to.
Oh god, this is so stupid.
It is, isn't it?
This is so stupid. I mean, I think you're being a bit of a cranky dick about the whole thing, but I do think complaining to someone
complains to a manager
because you didn't happen to cross paths and therefore didn't say hello on the way in is pretty.
I think it was one of those days where I was running late. I was like, okay, I've just got to get in. And
also, surely the point of view typically from a manager is like no talking and chatting on during work. Isn't that typically the rule?
No, it's pretty informal.
Okay, I was just saying that's typically, you know, the attitude of a manager is less talking the better.
Yeah, you'd think.
Anyway, so their relationship's kind of forming, and that's kind of good because that's kind of the heart of the show. And yeah, he's got good chemistry with Kathy. She had one scene again, but it was pleasant enough. And I like that his excuse because he doesn't just obviously. I'm assuming it's all classified what he's actually doing. So instead of just saying it's classified, he lies and makes up, kind of, you know, clearly lying. Like she knows he's lying. It's not obvious. It's intentionally, you know, open. But he's like, oh yeah, there was an E. coli thing, and then like over the scene, it becomes clear that she's actually studied E. coli, and she's like an expert in the whole thing. And
yeah, you get that bit later on where he Googles her, and it's kind of creepy. It's like, okay, I'm gonna know everything before I go on this dinner date with her. I need to know what I need to know.
I don't think looking at her social media is creepy, but when he actually Googles her and like gets like her like articles up about her, I'm like, okay, this is a bit weird.
Yeah. Like, just ask her about her work, dude.
I feel like just looking at someone you're interested in Instagram feed is just kind of a normal everyday thing now. Like I feel like people just do that.
But like reading all the articles, just go, hey, tell me something about work.
Yeah, I mean we knew she worked kind of in that field with disease, but like the fact that she specifically has worked on E. coli outbreaks was just funny to me. But yeah, so yeah, solid enough. Pace better than the first one. I think you can still.
I will say, for the most part, I do think it feels weirdly late in the episode when we actually get to France and the action stuff feels like, okay, here's the last 5-10 minutes.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think it builds to it that well.
I think it may be a case of they have so much for the season, and for this episode in particular, it just like it's for the last 5-10 minutes, and that's all there's going to be of it. Which is fine to a point. I think I can still critique some of how they're solving the case. Some of it feels still just kind of like typical TV babble that has a resolution eventually.
Yeah. I think in terms of the pacing with the action, it's okay for now. But if it's every episode it's the last 5 minutes, I'm gonna get sick of that. Spice it up. Throw some at the start, some in the middle. Just
Yeah, I could see the next one opening because that the bomb goes off. I could see Jack having to run back up and help people, and maybe Greer's injured a little bit. I could see there being if it skips ahead, I'll almost be a little disappointed because I feel there's some good damage control to maybe see.
No, I agree.
The start of the next episode.
I love that moment where the woman wearing the suicide vest gets shot because they're there and she's pleading them not to do it. Being like, help me. And the two guys there kind of start questioning it, like, okay, we're gonna do something, and then the other guy just comes in and just shoots her, right?
Yeah.
I thought the brutality and just we can't take any chances felt very realistic.
Yeah, no, it was the way they were shooting each other as well felt to me. Like the way one would, and this is on both sides, where one would just like burst through the door and just get shot immediately and things like that. There was a lot of really quick gun downs in there. And yeah, so the idea that this just one guy didn't stop to think about it when he come in, and just that's what resulted in the explosion.
And then this is the consequences, yeah.
Yeah, so those three are dead, basically, is what we're saying. Those three cops for sure are dead.
And it does remind me, I was a little surprised that all that, stuff at the end of the last episode, only 3 of their men were dead. It felt like a lot more than that.
It was 3 of them, but it was like another 3 or 4 of locals as well that worked with them.
Yeah. It felt like more when I was watching it.
Yeah, that's fair. So now we'll see. We'll see if it shakes up the formula, the format next episode. But for the most part, it's a pretty enjoying, slick show. In fact, we should mention a priest getting stabbed at the start. It never came back up again, so we'll see where they go with this.
Yeah. So it was a well-shot scene, though. Nice and ominous. You kind of knew where it was going, but it was well done. Yeah,
obviously everything in this show, and a lot of shows are out in real streets now, but it felt like nice, big, long, real streets. Like cobbled roads and stuff like that. It felt very
I appreciate
authentic.
About it the most is what you say. It's out on real streets.
Yeah,
is that we're clearly jumping between different countries in the locations, and they feel like we're in the real countries. We're in different places.
Yeah, at the very least, they're doing a good job of finding places to emulate those countries. And I could buy that maybe like for the France stuff, like the shots of the cars and stuff and the trucks going through the streets. I could buy that maybe they just sent a second unit to go film some vehicles driving through France, and then just shot the actual actors.
Very possibly.
Yeah.
But that's fine because it looks like it belongs. There's a lot of times where, we've seen it before, where they tell us we're somewhere and we're like, I don't really buy it. A notably bad example springs to mind with Iron Fist.
Yes. I have to imagine they did shoot somewhere for all the Middle Eastern countries that we've been in. I feel like that is definitely a different location. I don't think it's multiple locations, but I feel like they've got one place where they're using for all those types of locations.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So anyway, that is episode 2 of Jack Ryan. We'll be back in a couple of days with episode 3. So let us know what you're thinking of this so far, and if is it feeling a bit formulaic? Is it doing enough to keep your attention?
And if you finished it already, which you may well have done, because there's only 8 episodes, just keep the spoilers to this episode and in the past. Don't go ahead of us.
So of course, let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, and you can support us for as little as $1 per month. You get some bonuses, some early stuff and all that. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?